Boston every time I play that riff. Pretty iconic area of my life, even though I was only there for a couple months. So what started it was I went to Boston wanting to look for work. Back before the things happened, I remember I was taking train rides from Portland, Maine to Boston. I remember there was a couple of times I'd be walking around the city, handing in resumes, checking out the city, watching the historic buildings, which is where some of my old school playing comes from. Like, stuff that's like got a Pink Floyd's like pad vibe to it. Like there was that one night I was taking trains up and down Boston in March, and I wanted to stay there later than 10 p.m., which was what I learned the hard way, is the latest time for the train to leave for the whole night. I actually have stories and topics, and actually a song that I played a guitar from this video was 24 Hours in Boston. That's how it got its name, is being stuck there all night. Yeah, fun. So it was March. It was still fairly cold at 30 degrees with high ocean breeze of like 20 or 30 miles an hour. It was pretty chilly. And I remember I went to this North Station in Boston only to find out that I was like gonna be stuck there all night because the train was over for the night. And so I was stuck there all night getting plenty of nighttime footage. But once the sun came up, it was such a spectacular view, just watching it be all from darkness to high crime and risk of like not making out alive kind of vibe, because it was so dark and empty. And once the sun comes up, you just see the horizon and the cool colors and the lights coming out, and it was pretty cool. Before I knew it, when the sun was coming out towards the skyline, it was a spectacular view. Like, I'm seeing the train station open, I'm waiting for my station open so I get my train ride back home. And as I look at the skyline, I had a really nice view of the skyline where I was standing, and I would be watching the sun come up. And it was such a spectacular, extraordinary view. Just watching the sun come up and reflecting over the buildings and the skyline and the brick walls, seeing airplanes flying in and out of it, and all these cars driving by and people waking up and starting their life. And I'm just standing there like I survived the whole night, and this was my reward kind of feeling. Like, I'm seeing the skyline of all downtown Boston and the sun coming up and getting brighter, and then I head back to my train and I'm back at home. It was so extraordinary. And there was a song I played out of that, which was this. However, this was originally played faster. Okay, I don't know about that fast. Actually, it was this speed. This is just a different pedal. This is an analog. The original was on a digital recording. If you want to hear the original, I'll post it somewhere around here or the description, but that was the notes to it. Some of my Boston music. So for Boston, when I was homeless there, well, before I was homeless there, I was taking train rides there and back. So this is before I got settled in and got to experience the historic vibe of it, like walking through the public garden. Like, a lot of the music I play just reminds me of being in the Boston Common and the public garden at night. It's an interesting area and it's very historic. I remember like walking there at night with like the little street poles, which looked like the 1700s, like fire gas lights. And I remember walking there, and it just felt like I was Ben Franklin walking there at night with my lantern, having adventures. Like, I'm Ben Franklin, finger on the rosy. You hear like trumpets and whatever instruments were around at the time, and it's like a little nursery rhyme. Best that I can remember when playing that while I was in the Boston Public Garden and the Boston Common. I originally felt that before I was like living in my car there, but you can just feel that every time you walk there. When you get stoned off your ass, it's like Alice in Wonderland a little bit mixed in with that. It was quite an interesting place, seeing like all the old historic buildings and remembering George Washington, Ben Franklin. Boston's a very, I'm pretty sure Thomas Jefferson might have been there. A lot of our forefathers might have all settled there. The vibration and the frequency definitely takes some goddamn fucking pride in their rights. You could definitely feel the vibe of red, white, and blue American flags. You can just feel that energy there. You can literally feel like you're in George Washington's clothing with the gray hair and the old suits, just having your pocket watch and fighting against the British kind of feeling. It literally feels like you have traveled back to the 1770s when you're in Boston. That timeline has not left the city. I will tell you that. But it's such a shame of how much it has changed, because now it feels like it's sick. Even a buddy I know who lives here, or lives there, he knows what I'm talking about. It's like a cold, dark cloud over you. Man, it feels like there's a lot of history in there. There's more songs I have inspired from it, most of this I kind of made up to make up that one sound for that riff. Kind of like the bracket. I don't know how to describe it, but the very important part of the entire piece. You gotta play something that can remotely sound to it. Before I was almost there, I remember I'd have cocktails, beers, drinking like an Irishman, feeling damn well Irish. It seemed like it used to be an amazing city, like way back in the day. I remember actually seeing a person dressed like Ben Franklin there. It's unfortunate I didn't get like a video or picture of him. That would have been pretty cool. Maybe it was Ben Franklin in that he roams the city. Because when I told him, what do I do about this pandemic and all this world domination? He's like, same thing as we did, son. Remain vigilant, always check your surroundings, and never give up on yourself and your rights. And make sure everyone supports each other and fights for their freedom and not against each other. You must do it, me lad, before it is too late. I can't remember exactly what he said, but it said something like that. Basically, all in all, he said to not be in fear. He even had the Ben Franklin, it's like, thou shalt not fear this. I was taught my amendments and my rights in Maine. Boston still teaches it to this day. The people there, they take pride in their rights and American freedom. when I was stuck at that train station, telling this guy, since they just opened, is it okay if I stay in here all day till my train gets here? And the guy literally responded to me with, you can do whatever the fuck you want. This is America. Yeah, Boston, man. It's a pretty cool place. Pretty cool place.